Case 1. The Milgram Obedience Study. Yale University, 1961. The subjects are volunteers, teachers, office workers, men who answered a newspaper ad for a paid psychology study. They believe they're testing the effect of punishment on memory. A researcher, in a gray lab coat, shows each volunteer to a control panel. On the other side of a wall, a man strapped to a chair, electrodes attached to his wrists. The volunteer is told to administer electric shocks each time the man answers a question wrong, increasing by 15 volts with every failure. At 75 volts, the man grunts. At 150, he demands to be let out. At 285, he stops responding entirely. The shocks go up to 450 volts. The switch is labeled, Danger, Severe Shock, XXX. The researcher never threatens the volunteers. He says only this: please continue. Or, the experiment requires that you continue. That's it. 65% of volunteers administer all 450 volts. Not 1%. Not 5. 65. They sweat. Some of them cry. Some of them laugh in a strange, strained way that Milgram himself finds almost unbearable to watch. But they keep going. Most of them go all the way. The man in the chair is an actor. The shocks aren't real. The volunteers don't know that. When an authority figure absorbs the moral weight of a decision, something in you, something ancient, offloads the guilt and just follows the instruction. And the data isn't talking about someone else. It's talking about you at a 65% probability. Case 2. Reserve Police Battalion 101. Hamburg, Germany, 1942. Middle-aged men. Most of them too old for military service. Policemen, dock workers, salesmen, average age 39, husbands, some of them grandfathers. Historian Christopher Browning calls them, simply, ordinary men. In July 1942, Battalion 101 is brought to the village of Jonestown in occupied Poland and ordered to round up and shoot the Jewish residents, approximately 1,500 people. Before the operation begins, the battalion commander does something almost unprecedented. He tells his men they don't have to participate. Older men who find it difficult may step out. He is visibly distressed himself. Out of nearly 500 men, fewer than a dozen step out. The rest spend that day and the months following killing approximately 38,000 people and deporting another 45,000 to the Treblinka extermination camp. They develop, over time, a professional routine. Some develop a taste for it. Most describe simply not wanting to appear weak in front of the others, not wanting to leave the harder work to their comrades. It wasn't hate that drove most of them. It was the fear of being the one who looked away while everyone else didn't flinch. Browning's conclusion isn't comfortable. He writes that the majority of people, placed in those conditions, would have done the same. Not most monsters. Most people. Case 3. Jonestown. People's Temple. Some of the members are nurses, civil rights activists, a former school teacher named Hyacinth Thrash, who is 76 years old. People who joined a church because it offered community, purpose, and a preacher who seemed to mean what he said about equality. November 18, 1978. Jonestown, Guyana. Jim Jones has spent years constructing a closed system: isolation from family, sleep deprivation, public confessions, punishments for doubt, and a theology that treats the community as the only reality that matters. He calls a meeting. He tells his congregation that enemies are coming, that death is the only dignified response. 918 people die. Most of them drink the cyanide themselves. Adults give it to their children first. Nurses administer it to those who hesitate. Some people are injected against their will. But researchers, reviewing the evidence, note that coercion accounts for a fraction of the deaths. Most people comply. Jones has spent years making the group the only source of reality his followers have. By November, dissent doesn't feel like an option. It feels like a kind of madness. When a group becomes your only lens on reality, the group's logic becomes your logic, and what looks like a choice from the outside has already been made for you from the inside. Social psychologists studying high-control groups don't ask why people stay. They ask what anyone would need to be taught, over years, systematically, to think clearly enough to leave. Case 4. Rwandan Ordinary Perpetrators. Rwanda, 1994. Farmers, teachers, a hospital director, a pastor, people who in some cases have known their neighbors for decades, have borrowed tools from them, attended the same church, eaten at the same tables. The Rwandan genocide kills approximately 800,000 Tutsi people in 100 days. What makes it historically unusual isn't the number, it's the method. Most of the killing is done by hand, by machete, by neighbors. Radio broadcasts name specific people. Local officials distribute weapons. Community leaders organize the killing squads, called Interhamwa, from ordinary men. Some participate out of ideology. Some participate because they are told that Tutsis are not people, that killing them is hygiene, protection, duty. Some participate because their neighbors are watching. Researcher Jean Hatzfeld interviews survivors and perpetrators. The perpetrators describe the first killing as the hardest. After that, they say, it becomes ordinary. They go home for lunch. They return in the afternoon. One man describes it as similar to a working day. The mind doesn't experience sustained horror, it normalizes. Because the alternative is to feel everything at once, and that would make you non-functional. The studies on moral disengagement suggest you wouldn't need to believe the ideology. You'd only need to be in the room long enough. Case 5 Tuskegee Syphilis Study. U.S. Public Health Service researchers. 1932. Doctors. The kind of people who went into medicine to help. One of the lead researchers keeps meticulous records. He is thorough, careful, professional. He genuinely believes the study will generate useful data. The study enrolls 399 black men in Macon County, Alabama, who have syphilis, and 201 who don't. The men are told they are being treated for bad blood. They are not being treated, they are being observed. The study is designed to document the natural progression of untreated syphilis. The men receive aspirin and vitamins. They receive free meals on the days they come in for testing. They receive burial insurance. When penicillin becomes the standard treatment for syphilis in 1947, the researchers continue the study without offering the cure. The men continue to suffer. The study runs for 40 years. It ends in 1972, only because a whistleblower leaks it to the press. The researchers attend conferences. They publish papers. The study produces 13 scientific publications between 1936 and 1973. No one who reviewed those papers halted the research. No institutional board intervenes. Hundreds of people know. Almost no one acts. When wrong is institutional and gradual and professionally rewarded, the people inside it rarely experience themselves as doing anything wrong at all. The final count isn't 13 researchers. It's every reviewer, administrator, colleague, and peer who saw the data and kept working. The studies say that in a functioning institution that rewards silence, you would very likely have been among them.